Wanted to talk a little bit about decorating your home during the holidays if your home is for sale. I can't tell you how many times over the past couple of weeks I've been asked this question: should I decorate my home? How should I decorate my home? Am I allowed to decorate my home? And it's a challenging topic this time of year if you're going to be selling your home during the holidays, which in Tampa Bay, in my opinion, is actually not such a bad thing. I know I've spoken in the past few weeks about the market, and December is historically one of the better real estate months in Tampa Bay. We obviously don't have snow, we don't have sleet, we don't have this huge seasonal slowdown. The last couple of years, December has been the second or third best real estate month of the year. So it's actually a good time to sell in Tampa Bay. A lot of people will wait until next year to sell their home, so you have less competition. The buyers that are out there are motivated. But again, it really does depend on your local neighborhood. One of the things I look at when I talk to a client about selling their home is what the saturation looks like, how many homes on the market. And right now I'm seeing in certain neighborhoods there's not as much competition. So it's a great opportunity. So as far as decorating, you don't want your house to look like the Christmas ornament department at Walmart. You want it to be toned down. You want to be very aware of proportion and scale. A Christmas tree is generally accepted. Most people expect to see a Christmas tree during the holidays. Now, if you have a 14-foot tree that looks like something Clark Griswold chopped down from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and it's shooting out in every direction, that's a problem.
Running around.
Yeah, you don't want the squirrel running around. You don't want, you've got to tone it down a little bit. You want to think winter, not necessarily Christmas or Hanukkah. So it's okay to have things that are neutral. Just like any time you're selling a home, you want it to be as neutral as possible. You want the personal items removed. If you have, snow globes, throughout the entire house on every single, countertop, cabinet, that's probably not a good idea. So a tree is okay. Same thing with the outside. Again, some basic lights are okay. But if you have the, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, humongous 6-foot-tall statues in your front yard, that's probably not going to work. You want to just be as basic as you can. It's certainly okay to decorate, but you want it toned down a lot.
And Andrew, I think another thing for sellers to think about is have the perception of you don't want to be blocking key features of the home. You don't want the buyer's attention to go away from something that's really spectacular about the home. So
that's a great point.
Walk through your home that way. What do I know are great features about my home that I want a buyer to see, and make sure they're seeing it outside of the Christmas decorations.
No question about it. I think the other thing to think about from that token is, if your home's on the market for sale, you want it to look like a model home. And if you go to some of the big builders and you go to their model homes, a lot of them do decorate the home for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll see a Christmas tree. That gives people a warm feeling. I mean, and I will tell you, most people believe that, if it's done tastefully, you can actually have the home feel welcome and warm, and people want to stay and hang out and eat some cookies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely bake those Christmas cookies
Yeah.
when someone's walking through.
Well, and that's a good idea. Have a little tray of cookies out. Another thing is, and again, I love Christmas. I've already decorated for Christmas.
Yes, he has.
I put my Christmas tree up. My daughter Isella hung the star. I mean, I'm early. I'm way ahead of the game. So don't take my comments the wrong way, but one of the challenges with decorating too much for Christmas is that, if you have someone of a different religious belief, if your house is overly decorated with nativity scenes and Jesus, you could offend someone that's maybe Muslim or atheist or has a different religious belief. And if you really want to sell your home, after you sell your home, I don't really think you care whether or not the people go to church or not.
Right.
So one important thing is making sure to have overly done religious symbols and things like that probably shouldn't be present either. You really just want to think of it from a basic standpoint. If and Amy, I asked you this in the break, if you were walking a client around a home and you had confirmed through your consultation with them that they were of not of a Christian religious belief, and you walked them into a home that looked like the Christmas section at Walmart, how do you think it'd probably bother them a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, people get turned off by the oddest things that really maybe the house meets their criteria, but they get a bad feeling about it from something like that. previous things they know happened in the home. It's kind of similar to that just, it could meet their criteria, but it completely turn them off on a superstitious or a religious basis.
Right, or even an emotional level. I mean, buying a home is hugely emotional. I mean, some people can say that they knew it was the right house for them within a minute of walking into it. And if they walk into it and it's decorated like the Christmas shrine, and they're not believers,
they'll
then
walk out.
They're not going to buy the home.
Right.
You're going to lose traction and energy. So, some basic things you can do, in terms of keeping with the spirit, neutral candles are okay. Wreathing decorations throughout the house are okay because that's winter. Lots of red colors, like wreaths and things like that. You can do a lot of things that don't overdo the home. Another thing, presents. One thing I've always recommended to clients over the years, and my family's known for this. I mean, if you took a picture of our Christmas tree, when all of our families get together, I think the presents kind of outpile the tree sometimes because we've got a big family that gets together. If you're like that and you have a lot of presents, put them up. Put them in the closet. You don't want people like walking up and looking at your presents or looking at your Christmas items. You want them focusing on the home.
Or the buyer thinking, wow, I can make a really low price off on this. They're doing great financially.
Right. Look at all these presents. Right. This looks like a great big TV. They got plenty of money. Let's lowball them.
Right.
So again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show here on 970 WFLA. You can call us with your questions, 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas, or toll free, 1-800-969-9352. Some other things about buying during the holiday season that is great for a home buyer. There aren't as many buyers out there shopping. We don't see the huge seasonal drop off per se in November or December, but in January and February, those are a couple of our slower months. So there's not as many people out there shopping for homes right now, which means that maybe the people that do have the home on the market are motivated. Maybe they're more serious home sellers. And you can go through the process with maybe a little less, challenges or obstacles because there isn't as much happening. So that can sometimes be a bit of a benefit. As far as sellers, the showings, you don't have as many showings, and they're maybe a little less intrusive because people are a little more understanding if, they want to see your home on December 22nd. They're a little more understanding if you say that they can't. A lot of times, home buyers have vacation time this time of year. Our market is a destination market, so we have a lot of people that are buying real estate right now that don't live here, that are here, that are here on vacation, that are here seeing family, and they're out there shopping right now. So there are a lot of good benefits to real estate during the holidays in Tampa Bay, and there's some challenges too. But I wanted to focus the show today a lot on house selling tips during the holidays, home buying tips during the holidays, and talk a little bit about it. And again, we're here to answer your questions. If you've got questions about what to do with your home during the holidays, feel free to call us 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas, and toll free 1-800-969-9352. One other thing I wanted to mention, another thing to think about when you're starting to look at either buying or selling during the holidays, is people that are doing business during the holidays, if they're not motivated, if they're not serious, they probably just wait till next year.
I was going to ask you a question on that. I had a buyer that's looking to see a home, and the seller is saying, oh, we're not going to show it the whole week of Thanksgiving. We have family in town. We're busy. Certainly understandable, but I have a very motivated buyer who needs to buy something within a week, and she's interested in their home. What, as you as a listing agent, how would you handle that with your seller?
I would tell my seller that they need to provide access. A showing generally doesn't take more than 30 minutes. We're not talking about a humongous inconvenience, and if they're really motivated and want to sell the home, if they want that whole week off because they have family in town the whole week, maybe they're not very motivated. Mm-hmm. But I would do everything I could to convince the seller, hey, look, you've got a really hot buyer here. You can kind of tie this up and eliminate some hassle during Christmas by getting this out of the way now. Right. Take the family out to lunch one day or go Christmas shopping for a little bit and let us get in there for 30 minutes. Right. Because again, they're going to be doing that stuff anyway. So, so I've got our version of Black Friday here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. If you're looking for a smoking hot real estate deal, please check out TampaBaySmokingDeals.com. It's a website where we host some of the best bargains in the Tampa Bay area. Foreclosures, short sales, through all price ranges, you know, from $50,000 homes in South Tampa to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million homes. You can search the entire MLS on there, but if you're looking for a bargain, and that's something I'm going to talk with Amy a little bit more in the next segment. If you're looking for a bargain or an investment property, or if you're motivated to buy a great deal before the end of the year, again, check out TampaBaySmokingDeals.com. And, you know, definitely an opportunity. We handpick a list that we put together for our listeners every week of some of the best home bargains in Tampa Bay. And, again, it's TampaBaySmokingDeals.com.